Democrats hold 74 seats. They need 71 to pass Governor Pritzker's biggest proposal, the progressive income tax. That has to happen before it can ever appear on your ballot for a ballot question in November of 2020. Democrats just lost 2 votes this week on that proposal. One of them joins us now. That's Representative Jonathan Carroll from Northbrook, the 57th District.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Capitol Connection.
Thank you.
Governor Pritzker put out a response swiftly after you came out, along with Representative Sam Yingling, one of your colleagues from the northwest side of Chicago as well. And Governor Pritzker's comment says in part, quote, "Those who oppose this plan are siding with millionaires and the very wealthy against everyday Illinoisans, and they, you, need to offer an alternative that will fix our state's long-standing fiscal challenges." Are you standing with millionaires here over the middle class?
I'm standing with my district, and so my district has been very targeted.
It's a wealthy district.
I have people that do well in my district, but there's pockets of my district that don't do as well. But my district has been targeted both by people, what they call the fair tax, so they're in support of it, and people that call the jobs tax or are against it. And the overwhelming response we've gotten has been against this program. And the number one thing that we hear are property taxes and the issue of property taxes. Until, they said, instead of worrying about the state income tax, worry about our property taxes.
A lot of Democrats, and no one's here to tell you how to do your job, but I've just observed that a lot of people, a lot of legislators in your situation, a tough vote in your district, but they'd sit there, they'd sweat, they'd wring their hands in silence until it came time to put their vote on the board. Then they would say either I'm a no vote, or I'm not going to vote at all, or, but they would just handle it differently. You're coming out now weeks before the deadline and saying, I'm out. Why the public stance?
Because I want my voters to know where I stand. I've gotten a lot of feedback on this. I've gotten a lot of questions on this. This has been brought up by everybody I see. I go to the grocery store. I go to eat with my family. My office, my phone generally is ringing off the hook. Emails. All these people are asking me where I stand on this. And I've held my ground a little bit, like, I'm still working through the issues.
Was there a turning point for you?
I just think it was time for me to come out and say something.
When you evaluated the issue, how did you look at it? And how did you come away saying, because this will significantly raise taxes on wealthy people in the northern suburbs who have a lot of money. That's going to be a big jump from 4.95% up to some of them for a 7.95% income tax. Was that it? Just that you didn't feel comfortable raising taxes on that many of your constituents?
The wealthy people in my district that I've spoken to, and the reasonable wealthy people that I've spoken to, don't have an issue with paying more in taxes. What their issue is like, well, when does it stop? Our property taxes went up. Our property taxes went up. We have high sales tax in our district. The federal government didn't do us any favors by reducing the SALT deduction to $10,000. So taxes have gone up in the wealthier members of my district. And their response is, well, you can blame us if you want to, but it's not our fault. We're happy to pay our fair share, but we need to pay our fair share in a more equitable way. Where again, it's like you're raising our property taxes and you're raising our income taxes. When does that stop? And when is there a meeting point?
Representative Jerry Costello was already out on the record publicly opposing the progressive income tax. He was a House Democrat from downstate. Governor Pritzker appointed him to a position at the Department of Natural Resources, removing him from the House. They'll be appointing his replacement perhaps this weekend. What did you read into the politics of that appointment?
Nothing really. I think that Jerry's been here a long time. Jerry knows the Capitol very well. And
this is a vote count. We're talking about 74 votes, dwindling now down to 72 votes. If Democrats lose 1 or 2 more votes, this thing goes up in smoke.
I don't know what the governor had any motivation behind besides hiring the most qualified person for the job.
Okay. Is there anything the governor can do to get your vote back onto a yes before?
Yeah, I mean, I made it very clear that I'm a no right now. I'm open to conversations. Part of being a legislator is you tell someone you're a no, but let's work through the legislation. Let's sit down and talk. Let's sit down and work through this. My hope is that the governor will sit down with myself and people like Sam Yingling and some of the other individuals like us that have expressed concerns and hear our concerns and work through legislation that addresses those.
Is this a true progressive rate structure? Some people took issue with the fact that the cuts that went from 4.95% down to 4.75% were minimal, and that the middle class really didn't see enough of a savings. If there was more there, could it convince you to come back on board?
I'd like to see a better final product. So I do have some concerns with the rate structure. The rate structure is not as important to me as it is the property tax issue.
You've really singled out that property tax thing. How do you address that, though, from the state level? Because so many local governments are the ones that make those decisions. How does the state force their hand?
We have to fund education better. I mean, that's the bottom line. Almost 70% of property tax bills goes to education. We have to find a way to fund education better through the state.
Did you have conversations with the governor's office? Did he know that your announcement was coming?
They did not. No, I went with my announcement yesterday without informing the governor's office, but in my meetings with the governor's staff, I think I made my position fairly clear.
Where's the vote count? I know there's a few other swing vote Democrats, perhaps we'll see maybe Representative Didek, perhaps Representative Edley Allen, perhaps Representative Costa Howard are also on the fence here. Any conversations with them? Are you still engaged in discussions with your colleagues on this issue?
I talk to people all the time. I mean, and my thing is I'm a collaborative guy. I work with everybody.
I guess the question is, have you heard from any of them since you made your stance public?
No. None of them. I mean, I think most of them, I think the answer I got from Representative Costa Howard was like, wow. And then she walked away. So I don't know what that means. So she could mean that she liked it or she didn't like it. But I think, again, I represent my district, and my focus is the 57th District of Illinois.
All right.
So that's what I'm working on. I'm sure other members have been engaged with their district on this issue. This is a big issue, and I'm sure they have their thoughts on this as well.
Very interesting. Are you prepared? You put your neck out here a little bit against the governor, defying a governor who just won handily in an election statewide. Are you prepared to face a primary challenge because of this decision?
I'm focused on being the best representative for the 57th district I can be. If someone decides to run against me in the primary in the general election, that's his or her choice, and I'll put my voting record up against what they're proposing, and if the voters like that person more than me, well, obviously what I did wasn't successful.
Okay, it sounds like you're saying so be it. Those are the pressures, those are the decisions lawmakers face in this building from time to time. Thank you for joining us to explain your decision, and we'll continue to track this issue. That does it for us here on Capital Connection this week. Thank you for joining. We hope to see you again at the same time next week. For Capital Connection, I'm Mark Maxwell. You can stay connected to the Capitol all week by following us on Twitter at CapConnectIL or watching reports from our Capitol team on WCIA 3. You can also find us on Facebook or WCIA.com.